All right, so we have practice test 33, game 1. So it says each of 7 television programs, H, J, L, P, Q, S, and V. So I'm going to write that down. So our variables are H, J, L, P, Q, S, and V is assigned a different rank from 1st through 7th from most popular to least popular. So the thing to pay attention here is first, since it comes first in this, when it says 1st through 7th, first is referring to most popular, and 7th is referring to least popular. The ranking is consistent with the following conditions. So I know that we're putting them in order from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. J and L are each less popular than H. We got to really pay attention to this when it says less popular than H. So what we're saying is, so you need to remember, this is most popular and this is least popular. So really in my diagram here, when I say that J and L are less popular, that means that H is going to be over here. And J and L are both less popular. All right. J is more popular than Q. So J, so if I was going to write this here, I would be like, okay, so J is more popular than Q. But I can connect this with my J down here. So I'm just going to make J dash Q. All right, third. S and V are each less popular than L. So remember, this is kind of confusing again because I have my most popular over here as number 1. But we're saying that S and V are less popular than L. So essentially we're saying L is more popular than both S and V. And so I'm going to connect this to my L already here. And I'm just going to make a little caret and say L is more popular than S and V. All right, number 4, P and S are each less popular than Q. They love throwing this in here, don't they? So if I was to reword this, I would say Q is more popular than both P and S. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky because I have a Q here. And so I need to say Q is more popular than P and S. But now I have 2 S's, which is okay. I just need to remember that they're the same. So I'm going to erase that first S and just say L is still more popular than S here too. And I'm going to erase this and just put my V back here. Cool. And now rule number 5. S is not 7th. So that means that there has to be at least one variable after S. So now let's check and see if we have any floaters. So I'm going to check off all the ones that we have a rule for. So we have H, J, L, Q, P, S, and V. So we're using all of them. So what's interesting here is there has to be one after S. So who could this potentially be here? There's actually only 2 options. Our only options are either P or V because they're the only ones that do not have anything after them that are that they have to be before. So P or V is going to be our last variable, but we don't know yet. So now I'm going to go ahead and do question number 1 where it's saying which of the following could be the order from most popular to least popular. So I'm just going to check. I did it from most popular to least popular, so we're good. I'm just going to go by rules and cross them off as they go. So J and L are each less popular than H. So remember, this is H, J, L. So I'm going to look for this, which I'm going to cross off A because it has J before H. So that doesn't work. For rule number 2, J is more popular than Q, so I'm just looking for J before Q, which B doesn't work because of this, but all the rest of them are okay. For 3, we're looking for L being more popular than S and V. L is more popular than S and V. So C works. Ooh, but D does not because we have V before L. So now we're going to go on to rule 5, and it's that P and S are less popular than Q, or essentially Q is more popular than P and S, which C works and E works. So now we just have to check our last one, which is S is not 7th, which E has S in 7th, so that can't be our answer. So our correct answer is going to be C. All right, number 2. If J is more popular than L and S is more popular than P. So what we're saying here, we're adding in a new rule just for this question. So it's not always, it's just for this question. So we're saying if J is more popular than L and S is more popular than P, which of the following must be true? So does J need to be second? Probably. Because what else can be first? Can anything other than H be first? No. But we'll go ahead and try. Keep going. J is third. Must it be true that J be third? No, it definitely can't be, because if J is before L, and I were to actually draw this out here using our diagram that we have already, what we're saying for sure is that it has to go H, J, L, Q, S, P, L, V still has to come after L, and that's all of them. So it definitely is not that J is third. That can't happen. What about L is third? So right here, the reason that L does not have to be third is actually it could also be Q, because there's no relationship between L and Q. So it also could be saying here we have H, J, Q. I mean, honestly, we could go S, P, L, V if we wanted. Because if we look here, there's no relationship between Q and L. So L does not have to be third. What about Q is third? No, because all we know is that J has to be before L. And P is 7th. We know for sure that P is not 7th because there's lots of other things that can happen. Like, for example, here, we could have V be 7th as well. So our answer is going to be A, J is second. I'm going to erase this because whenever we have one of these new rules, it's only for that question. So once you're done with that question, you go ahead and just, you don't consider that rule anymore. It says, which of the following programs cannot be third? So if we were looking at this, we're looking for like who cannot come third. A couple different guesses here would be that P and S, if P and S were an answer, they could not be third because both of these have at least 1, 2, 3 ahead of them. So is P or S an answer? Yes. So it would be P, and I would select that and move on. If I were to try a different one to see if it could work, let's go ahead and just try V. So I would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Could V be third? Yes, because L has to come before V, H has to come before L, but then we could just do J, Q, S, P, and it would work. And so that's how I would know that I could cross that off. And you could do that for A, B, and C as well. All right, 4. if V is more popular than Q, so if V is more popular than Q, and J is less popular than L, so J being less popular than L is the same as L being more popular than J, which of the following could be true of the ranking? So if we were to look at our diagram here, and we were to try to fill this in, now we have what we're saying is A, it's definitely going H, well, not definitely, but in the order is H, L, J, and then we have Q, P, and S. But then we're also saying that L, which it's still the same here, L has to be before, has to be before S. L has to be before V. And now we're saying that V has to be before Q. So the big change here is that V, we have to get this, rather than V being allowed to be last, it's no longer allowed to be last because it's now restricted. It has to come somewhere between these two spots. So the thing that I bet this question is probably going to test us is remembering that something has to come after S. And so in this game, since V is now cut off by this Q, in this scenario, or just for this question, P is going to have to come last because it's the only thing that could come after S, since S cannot be last. So this is a could be true question. So could P be more popular than S? No. So that's not our answer because it can't happen. Can S be more popular than V? No, because S is coming after V, so we'll cross that off. P is more popular than L. No, because we have P last. J is more popular than V. Yes, here, this is what could happen because there's no relationship between J and V. It could either go H, L, V, J, Q, or it could go H, L, J, V, Q. So these can both be switched at any time. And then E, Q is more popular than V. No, V has to be more popular than Q in this game, so we can cross that off. And that's why D is going to be our answer. All right, and then lastly, if Q is more popular than L, so we erase or cross off the new rules from 4 because we only use them once. But if Q is more popular than L, then each of the following must be true except. So what this is saying is that 4 of these answer choices must be true, and 1 could never be true. And so if Q is more popular than L, so we're now looking at the relationship between these two. So now what we're saying is, hey, it needs to go H, J, Q, L. And remember, L is before V and before S. And Q is before S, which we already have, so it doesn't really matter, and P. And we have all 7 there, so we're good. What must be true except, so which one of these does not have to be true? Does H have to be first? Yes, so we can cross that off. Does L have to be fourth? I don't think so, because there has to be one after S, but we could put P fourth and V could go last. So I bet that's our answer, but let's see. V is not fourth. Must it be true that V is not fourth? No, that has to be true. V could never be fourth. Must it be true that J is not third? Yes, it must be true that J is not third because Q has to be third. And must it be true that Q is third? Yes. And so our answer is J is fourth. And that's because it doesn't have to be true that J is fourth. Or L is fourth, I'm sorry. It could be true. And for those of you that are struggling to see that, J could be fourth if we went H, J, Q, L, V, S, P. but P just has to come after Q. So we also could do H, J, Q, P. So now we have P in fourth. L, S, V to make sure that something's coming after S. And that's how I would solve this game. I hope it helps.